what is the situation with tipping on stub or italic pens? I noticed that the Lamy and the Goulet italic nibs have no tipping. Is there a standard practice, or is it just that some have tipping and some don't? Okay, Joshua, you're calling out the Lamy and the Goulet ones. Those are both stainless steel nibs, okay? And what you're gonna see pretty much from everybody, I can't think of anyone, I'm trying to rack my brain, I can't think of anyone that has a tipped stainless steel italic or stub nib. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, I hope you will call me out in the comments. So put that in the comments if you can think of any, but I can't think of any stainless steel nibs that have tipping material on them. And the reason for that is generally they're more economical, so you want to keep costs down. Using a very expensive tipping material plus the process of welding it and honing it and all that stuff drives up the cost quite a bit, and it's not generally worth it to do that on a stainless steel nib, because stainless steel is a pretty hard metal. And yes, you want the tipping material on extra fines and mediums and stuff like that because it's a very small point of contact. But with an italic nib, you have a much wider nib. A lot more of the nib is making contact on the page, so it's going to wear less on that nib as it would on a fine or a medium or something like that. So you're going to be able to use that nib for years and years and years without it wearing down, because it's a harder metal than gold, and it's going to have a pretty wide area of contact, I guess. So it won't put as much pressure on one individual point of that nib as it would if it were a fine or extra fine or something like that. That said, when you have gold nibs, it's a bit of a different story, because gold is a softer metal and can wear down. Because basically, when you're using paper, it feels really smooth to your hands, but if you look at it kind of microscopically, it's kind of like sandpaper. You know, it's very textured, it's very rough, and that nib gliding across the page like that creates friction. Anytime there's friction, there's heat. Anytime there's heat, there's wear. So you're wearing down that nib, albeit very, very slowly, but over time you're wearing down that nib, with tipping or not. The tipping, the reason you have tipping on it is it's a super hard metal, harder even than stainless steel, that's going to wear less over time than you would. But even a tipped nib, if you use it enough, you're going to wear it down, because you're causing friction and you're putting wear on that page, on that pen as you're writing on the page. It's just you're kind of delaying the inevitable by doing that. Now you're talking a very long time when you have a tipped nib. Not as long, but still very long with a stainless steel nib without tipping. A gold nib without tipping is not going to last nearly as long. So that's why you'll pretty much see almost all gold nibs, almost all gold stub nibs tipped. Yeah, even the stubs. Definitely all regular gold nibs, but all gold stub nibs or italic nibs, you're pretty much going to see those tipped because they just last longer that way. So that's not a steadfast rule, and it does vary from one manufacturer to another, and they may have their reasons for doing that. You can have different alloys, even of gold and stuff like that, that can be different. So it's not all exactly the same. And then you have other nibs, like you have some that are palladium and chromium and titanium and stuff like that. But generally, that's kind of where you're looking at, is the harder metals might have less of a tendency to have a tipping on the stubs, whereas gold nibs are almost always going to have it.